I paid $300 for this broken PS5. The seller said it's an HDMI problem. I'm not so sure. If I can get it working, I can at least make my money back because these are selling for $300 to around $380 right now on eBay. Let's put it back together enough to see if we can even turn it on and then see if we can figure out what's wrong and try and fix it. All right, so we definitely need this guy. It does have the power button on it. The seller kind of folded this ribbon cable up, which was actually probably good for shipping, but kind of hard to get it where it needs to go now. We definitely need a power supply. Hopefully these ribbon cables are good over here. Now this whole thing came just as this sandwich, so we should be able to just put this thing in here. I gotta get this disk drive off first. That ribbon cable's torn, that's going to be a problem. We need to remove this plate. We got to get this ribbon cable installed first. Where are the screws holding this all together? Is there? Oh, there's not even any on here. Okay, well that's easy. We do have the clamp installed, which is good to know. Now we can get this ribbon cable installed. It's not in the best condition, but I think we can get it in here enough to make it work. This one too. There we go. Now we can put this plate back on. There we go. Now the disk drive can go up here. Okay, so unfortunately, I have to cut this ear off because it's just getting in the way. All right. Now, hopefully we can get this installed where we want it to go. Still not, because this ear is in the way. Okay, there we go. Let's see this side. Those ears are not totally destroyed, but sort of destroyed. Let's hook this up real quick. And let's get this down where it needs to go so it's out of the way. Doesn't get caught on anything. Okay, so here, I really hope this thing at least has power. It's been so long I can't even pull up the eBay listing to see what all the sellers said about it, so I don't even know for sure. I mean, HDMI I think is in the listing, but, oh, and I have it on the little note I wrote about it, so, ah, boy. Okay, let's turn this thing over and see if it'll turn on, or turn it around. Here we go. Power cable, HDMI cable. Let's see if we have disk drive power. We do. Oh, and that actually turns it on. Usually that means there's a disk inside. No, the disk drive. Oh, yeah, it does. What disk did we get? Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Hey, that makes this worth a little bit more. I don't know how much these discs are worth, but I don't know. Probably, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks maybe? This actually might make it so this is a little more worthwhile of a video to make. All right, we got a white light. Let's see what we get on the TV. Last thing we had plugged in was an Xbox, it looks like. And we're showing no signal. I think the fan is starting to ramp up, which tells me there's probably a liquid metal problem. Oh, it's restarting. Okay. Let's see what happens once it gets fully restarted. I'm going to reset my HDMI box. Okay, 3 beeps and a white light. That's what we're looking for. And so far, just no signal at all. Not even close. Just nothing on the screen. Okay, so at least it looks like the seller was being honest. I have a little bit higher hopes, especially with that disc that came with this PS5. Let's get it back apart, inspect that board and the HDMI port. Oh, and this game's worth about 10 bucks or so. So it is the PS4 version. I thought it might have been the PS5 game, but it is PS4. So it's not even worth that much, but still 10 bucks is 10 bucks. The holidays are coming up, and if you're looking to buy something for yourself or the fixer in your life, TronicsFix has some great buying guides right on our website. Myself and the TronicsFix team have curated these lists of products from things I actually use in my shop. So if you're looking for something for you or the fixer in your life, I'll put links to these right in the description. Okay, so we have the clamp off, and now I'm getting worried about what this HDMI port is gonna look like. I was worried the seller tried to fix it themselves, but it looks like it's not been, somebody hasn't tried to fix it yet, from this side anyway. That would be great news. Not that that's always bad, but a lot of times when people try and fix it themselves and then resell it on eBay, you don't get things in the best shape. Whoa, we got a huge dry spot on this APU, on this heatsink and APU. That is insane. All right, now let's get under a microscope and inspect this HDMI port. Okay, and here we go. One loose pin. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loose pins. Okay, so that's actually pretty good news. So what I'm going to do is come through, resolder those pins, and then we'll see if that's all it takes to get this thing working. I'm going to come through and add some flux. The flux is there to help the solder flow. Okay, now I'll turn my fume extractor on and get these things resoldered. I'm actually just going to resolder every pin on this thing. Actually, I want to get, there's quite a bit of solder on my iron tip right now. So let's get rid of some of that. The danger with it all being up on my tip, it's not really a danger, but the thing with it is that it will totally bridge these pins very quickly and easily. Not that that's the worst thing, it's easy to fix, but it is nice when it doesn't happen. Okay, now we got more solder added with our small iron. I'm gonna actually bring in my big iron now, and I'm gonna solder across those pins again, just to make sure there is plenty of solder and make sure they are fully soldered down. And the reason I'm using my larger iron is just because I can get a lot more heat on the pins and make sure we have really good connection. Oh, soldered those two joints together, that's okay. We'll probably have to fix that with our small iron. Now I'm gonna do some left-handed soldering. Just easier on these pins with my left hand. You can see we drug that solder all the way over there, which I actually don't really want it there because we have that capacitor right there. So I'm gonna bring it back over here. We'll go just about like that. I'm gonna add a little more flux to that area. And I can bring in some solder wick, some solder braid, but I'm gonna see if I can clear this just with my small iron, just because sometimes the braid takes off a lot of material and I don't really want to take off any more solder than I need to right there. So make sure all of these, make sure there's no other bridges here. Yep, those all look good. Okay, now I'm going to use my dental pick to come in and check these. Just make sure they're all soldered on very solidly. There's no issues. I'm actually putting a lot of pressure on these just because I want to make sure they're really tight down on the board. Perfect. Okay, so that part's done. Let's get this thing all back together and see if that's all it takes to fix this $300 PS5. Now before we go too crazy putting this thing back together, we need to address this little problem right here. What I'm going to do is use a cotton bud with some isopropyl alcohol. Rub all of this oxidation away. Okay, now we will rub the new liquid metal on. There we go, that's looking better. And then we will pull up some more from over here around the edge and add it to the top and add a little extra. There we go. Now we need to do the same thing on the board. There's oxidation just basically all over this entire chip. There we go, that's better. Now we'll come and get all of this from along the edges. And put it back on the chip. Then we will spread it around. Oh yeah, that's nice. Now we're ready to put this board back in and get the rest of this thing to put together. Okay, and board is installed. I'll get these ribbon cables installed. Now the metal plate goes on. And now the 42 totally necessary screws. Speaking of screws, these were in the screws that the seller sent with this console. I don't know what they were using these for, but that's scary. Hopefully they just accidentally mixed them in with these other screws. We'll not be using those to put this thing back together. And we actually had the correct amount of the right screws. That's always nice. All right, now we can get this disk drive in. It's a little harder to line this up correctly since the tabs are broken off. There we go though. There's little tabs on each side that need to line up correctly. And if you break them off, that makes it harder to line up correctly. But we got that one on how it should be. Now we can put this top plastic on and install more screws. So we have all of the screws there for the outside that we need for the outside of this case, which is nice. We don't have this black piece anywhere. There's like a little black cover that goes over this, which isn't a big deal. It doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't actually serve any function. Now the fan, I gotta say, I'm impressed with how many parts and pieces this seller actually included. So many times you get these things and the seller doesn't even include everything you need. So, okay, good so far. The long one, I think, does it go down? I don't remember where the long one goes. Right there. And then we have one that is a fine thread, which I thought went there. Apparently not. Oh, we're missing some screws anyway. Okay, that one goes there. And does that one go there? Okay, that one does go there. All right, I guess maybe we're not missing anything. The next thing we need to do is install the 2 screws for the power supply. These screws have kind of like beveled ends. That's how you know that that's what these are for. And it's important to not get these mixed up with the other screws because these can destroy your motherboard. If you put them in the wrong place, they'll screw right into it or right through it. Just a couple more things to go. We've got to put the M.2 cover on, just like this. One of these goes on the top. Are these exactly the same? I've never realized that, actually. I think they are exactly the same. One goes here, like that. The other one goes on the underside. That's cool. Just like that. Okay, now we put the covers on. This one, unfortunately, is broken. Don't know if that happened before or in shipping, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. It is what it is. Now this one. There we go. Now let's see if this PlayStation 5 actually starts up and works. Okay, here we go. Disk drive power. Oh, no. Oh, I don't even have it plugged in. Dude. Okay, power, HDMI. Well, let's see what happens when we press the power button. Fan starting up, we get power, but do we get a signal? Oh, this is good news. Yeah, of course we get a signal. This was the controller that came with it. Let's see if it powers on, and it does. Does it connect? And it does. Okay, let's see if it'll actually play this disc. Takes it in, and there we go. It is starting up. So this $300 PS5 originally I thought was a pretty bad deal. Back in January, it actually was an okay deal, but between the game we got and the fact that it was a super easy fix and we didn't have to buy parts, we could probably actually make $50 to $80 on this. If you'd like this type of video and want to see a video where I try and fix a PlayStation 5 that was melted in a house fire, I'll put a link for that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I can fix it. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.